But I started out at 16 flipping burgers and Wendy's, and wasn't getting any hours. Got a break. They sent me over to a location to close one night because the guy needed some help. And turned out that manager, and I spent the night with him, and that manager evidently took a shine to my work, because the next week he got transferred to our store, and I went from having 10 hours a week to 40 hours a week.
Wow.
And so it kind of got built into me then. And then through the rest of high school and college, I worked in every fast food place except for McDonald's, some of which are no longer with us, like Burger Chef.
Wow.
Leading up to when I finished school, I got an offer, and it was really the only offer because it was 1982, and there weren't any jobs out. And to sell cups and plates, paper cups and plates for a company called Lily Tulip, which no longer exists. To compete against Sweetheart Cup. I don't know if that name rings a bell, but we sold to Wendy's, McDonald's, a company called Rax, a variety of locations like that. We did all their packaging. And I worked for them for about 4.5 years and realized that I wasn't going to go anywhere with this anywhere quickly. There was a gentleman who was who had hired me. He had moved on, and once that happened, I realized, I probably ought to look elsewhere. And there was an opportunity to interview with Smucker's. And so I went up to Orville, Ohio, and was the first interviewee and asked for the job. And eventually I got it and started out as a broker manager. That's what they called them at the time, instead of agency manager. And I had most of Ohio, Western PA, upstate New York, Kentucky, West Virginia. And I tell you what, I learned more in that job than any other job I had, because I learned basic management skills, how to work with people, understanding the little things that you've got to do to work with an agency to get them to sell your product on a regular basis, because you're constantly fighting for their time. And little things like helping clean up after a food show, showing up early to an appointment, just basic stuff, but seemed to work. Then I got moved into a national account role after 2 years, and I was calling Airmarks, Sodexo, all the non-coms. A great experience also. Very difficult because, we were selling portion control, jam and jelly, and peanut butter, and breakfast syrup. Not much, but a branded presentation to be put on the plate. And so it also gave me some national travel experience, which I didn't think I would need. I thought travel was travel, and that's not the case. But so I learned that a little bit. And after about 2 years, they asked me to run the western half of the United States. So I got moved out to Monterey, California, to work out of the Salinas, California plant. And did that for about 7 years. And then there was a kind of a change in structure. The Smucker brothers, Tim and Richard, were starting to transition. Tim was probably in his early 60s. Richard was a couple years behind that, but they were staging people so that they could eventually move into their roles, because they knew that one of the sons was going to be fifth generation, and they had to get these people in between trained to run the company and train them. And so I got asked to train Paul Smucker Wagstaff, which was Susie Smucker's son.
Nice.
And that's when I realized my name wasn't on the building. And so through a lot of changes, I left the company. And a couple months later, I had an opportunity to interview with Hershey's. And been with them since January 2004. And it's been a great ride. I've had a couple of great leaders through my time. When I was at Smucker's, there was a guy by the name of Ed Downs. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. He was the VP of sales, and we got along very well. Gentleman by the name of Steve Stroud is actually the guy that kind of formed me into the person I am, and I can't thank Steve enough for that.